One of the greatest challenges I think we have oftentimes as wives in marriages, particularly if we grew up in a single parent home, I certainly had this challenge, this notion of submitting to my husband. And today, I really think a lot of people think this is an outdated concept that you would submit to your husband. I think we're on this idea, concept of everything's supposed to be equal and we do everything together. I think people have a misunderstanding of submission. I know for years I did, and that is why I fought so hard against it. But I wasn't even fighting consciously. There was a unconscious belief that I was smarter than Andre, that I knew how to do things better. Simply because I grew up in the house with a mom and I watched my mom do everything. So then after leaving home, going to university, having my own place, I knew how to pay my bills. I knew how to, somewhat manage my household, or so I thought. So then when Andre came into my life and we got married, I didn't need to depend on him for those things because I knew how to do it. However, what I did realize when I committed my life to Christ, because I got married to Andre and God in the same year, and after constantly being constantly fighting, internal, like stressing about why won't Andre do things a certain way? Like, why won't he just listen to me? Why won't he just do it the way I'm telling him to do it? And our life and our marriage would be better. And I remember the day God said to me, your marriage is out of order. And I was like, what do you mean my marriage is out of order? Well, he was sharing with me that I was the head of my house, and that was a problem. See, what I grew up watching, and no offense to my aunties or my mom, but what I grew up watching, and even my grandmother, was women who mothered their husbands instead of treated their husbands as these men who could run a household. I grew up listening to women. Now, listen, guys, my family dynamic is my grandmother had 12 children, 10 girls and 2 boys. And so when I say I grew up listening to my aunties and my mother, like our family is a family of women, dominant, smart, brilliant women. But, and I don't mean this to be disrespectful, but they did not model marriage the way later I learned that I desired marriage. And so I saw a lot of mothering, where they spoke to their husbands, much like mothers and women speak to their sons. A lot of giving orders, a lot of telling or saying what he doesn't know, what he can't do, how they had to, manage everything because he doesn't know what he's doing, kind of thing. And when I got into marriage and kind of into with that thought and concept, I just found out it wasn't working. It was a mess. It was like I was stressed out about it, and then I could see that it was shrinking Andre. It was making him less than who I believe him to be and who God wanted him to be. And so when God began to speak to me on this area of submission, the thing God said to me that really changed my heart is He said, "You don't have a problem submitting to Andre. Your problem is you're not submitted to me." And I was like, whoa. So the first thing about being a submitted wife is it's not about you submitting to your husband. It's about you submitting to the will of God. It's about you submitting to what God has called us to do and be. And I get that for a lot of us that can be scary. But I want to ask you, did you marry a man for the sake of being able to control him? Or did you marry a man that you really believe had within him the ability to be a man? And I know in today's society, we're supposed to throw all this stuff out the door, but I'm talking about good old fashioned, the way it simply was. Before when a man had roles and a woman had roles. But here's the thing, I'm not talking about these traditional roles for the sake of tradition. I'm talking about these roles for the sake of your marriage. What roles have you and your spouse determined would be what is needed in your marriage? So if your marriage is one where the role is the wife runs the household, if that works for your marriage, that's fine. What I'm simply saying is from the energy of me wanting to be the boss, because not because I necessarily was better at a thing than Andre, but because I believed I was better. Because I thought less of him and his abilities than I thought of myself. That energy does not produce a loving, healthy, productive environment. And so that was the part of me that God was calling into submission. It does not mean that I live in a household where everything my husband says goes, and I don't have a say about anything, and I don't participate in our finances, or participate in our life, or participate in what goes on. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, when I moved and served from the energy that I'm smarter than you, I know better than you, and I handle our kids better than you, I know what to do with our finances more than you do, and you are messing it up. When I moved from that energy, our life, our marriage was constant in battle. When we learned that we're both learning in this thing, but more importantly, I recognized that I was married to a manly man, a man who did want to take ownership. He did want to take and provide for his family. He was willing to work. He is willing to do anything to take care of his family and to make sure we are well. When I recognized that was who I was married to. I was not married to a boy. I was not married to a boy. This is how to find a boy in a relationship. Children and boys need someone to take care of them. Men often want to take care of a situation. If I am in a marriage, if I'm in a relationship where I have to take care of you, then you are moving and acting as a child in my life. And in certain times, it's okay to have a child, right? When my children were children, it's okay to have children. But as they become adults, I have to move out of the way so that they can move into their adulthood of ownership and responsibility and making their own choices and decisions. So therefore, if I recognize that as a mother to her children, certainly I have to have enough wisdom as a wife to recognize I cannot move in my husband's life like he's a child, nor do I want to. I did not marry my husband to have a man child. I married my husband to have a man. And so many of us do not know how to operate at a level where we allow our husbands to be men in our marriage, men in our relationship, and men in our family. We are so busy being the boss, telling them what to do, how to do it, speaking our disappointment to other people, sharing, like using our words to downplay who they are, to demise their very care to their being, and not realizing doing that we are destroying the relationship. And so when God convicted me of that, He says, your house is out of order, and I need you to submit to me first. Like God was telling me, He needed me to submit to Him, so that then I can learn to submit to Andre. That's when things begin to get better for us in our marriage. Better in that there was more peace and more connection and more love. Listen, again, submission is not about me giving up my whole rights and Andre ruling everything. Was just simply about us being in an agreement that there was a mutual relationship and respect for one another and what we can do and bring into the household. Where I did not see him as less than, but I recognized that he moved from the power and the energy of the same God that I serve, that he himself
can have leadership skills, and can manage this family. And because of that, I think that's why we're not only together this long, but we still like each other, we still enjoy each other. So I'm asking you, do you think it's important to be submitted as a wife? Do you struggle with this concept of being submitted to your husband? And have you chosen, or are you in a relationship with someone that you respect enough that you can say, I know that you mean well for me. I know that you will do all you can to take care of our family. So therefore, I'm going to take my hands off of things and let you drive. So whatever decision you make, can you do that? Because I remember when I was going through that process, and because I had to make all the decisions, Andre would decide something, and overnight I would wake up and manipulate the situation. I was thinking maybe we should do it this way, and change everything that he had already set into place, and then it would all start falling apart. And then I was mad with him, and then I got to apologize. I'm sorry, we should have did it your way. Just creating havoc and a mess all the time. And so when God started dealing with me, I said to my husband, whatever you decide, we're going to do. If you decide we're going to live in a car, we're going to live in a car. If you decide we're going to buy a house, we'll buy a house. If you decide we're going to move to this location from that location, we're going to do it. I'm with you. And he was just like, what? What do you think? It doesn't matter right now because I had to learn to keep my mouth closed. Whatever you decide, I want you to know you have my blessings, and we'll do it. And so that began to give him back the courage and the honor and respect that he had always deserved, but I didn't know how to give. So that then he could trust himself, and then I could trust him. But when I first started the process, I wasn't trusting Andre. I was trusting God. I knew that if I was doing what God asked me to do, if I was being obedient to Him, then God would protect me. His word says that. If I obey you, you will protect me. And I leaned on that scripture during that time. And because of my obedience in every situation, even when it didn't look right, and I was like biting on my nails, I'm like, okay, God, He would constantly open new doors and provide new ways through Andre for situations to work out and work out better. So I'm just simply asking. And again, submission doesn't mean completely tapping out of your marriage. It doesn't mean you don't know what's going on. It doesn't mean that you're not communicating with your spouse. I just saw it back then for me. It was an energy. The enemy was using my energy of disrespect and discontentment and believing that I was better than Dre to ruin my marriage. And so I'm asking you, is that showing up in your marriage? If so, if you need some help with that, reach out, verythoughtfullife.com. If not, if you are loving life the way it is and you are over your house and you're ruling things and it's working for you, I say move forward, go for it, and be blessed. I just want to encourage you to have an amazing day today. Be kind to yourself and each other. And remember, it is your thoughts that is creating your decisions. And your decisions that's ultimately leading you to your destiny. So make sure you're making decisions and have great thoughts that are leading you to a great destiny, specifically when it is pertaining to your marriage or your relationships. Have a blessed day. Talk to you soon.